Welcome to Negotiation with Alice, your negotiation podcast. Everything that you do where you need to get on the same page with someone else is a negotiation. So whether you have to negotiate a contract with someone, or you simply need your boss to sign off on that program that you'd like to implement, or you want to figure out how to rebalance the chore structure in your home, or talk about what vacation you want to go on. All of these things are negotiations. So in my podcast, we go over both personal and professional conversations, which all are considered negotiation, and I will give you tips on how to come out ahead. Welcome to the show. Welcome, listeners, to another episode of Negotiation with Alice. Today, I have my good friend Michele Molitor here with us. Hi, Michele.
Hi, Alice. Thank you for having me on. I'm so excited.
Yeah, so Michele, I would love for you to tell my listeners what you do and who you love to work with.
Sure. So, hi everyone. Michele Molitor. My company's Nectar Consulting, and I'm an executive coach and clinical hypnotherapist. And I always love to say I help you remove the emotional junk out of your trunk, right? Because we all have stuff that has been unprocessed that's caught in your nervous system. So I work with high achieving women in technology who might be dealing with a bit of a bro culture, who might be feeling overwhelmed, burnt out, or even dealing with imposter syndrome, despite all of their accolades, that's getting in their own way of their health, their well-being, and their success with greater joy and ease. So I do that with a unique combination of neuroscience, coaching, somatic therapy, mindfulness to help them get at the root causes of those disempowering beliefs, the messages that maybe they received even as a young child. And we rewrite those messages, literally rewiring the neural pathways in your brain for greater confidence, greater well being, and more joy and satisfaction, which all then leads to greater success.
That is fabulous, Michele. You're doing really important work. I love all of those things. So I think that's why we get along so well.
Yes.
Yeah. So I wanted to, talk to you about like a lot of times we think about negotiation as I am negotiating with you or someone outside of ourselves. But frequently we have our own, as you mentioned, our own demons. And so then we end up having to negotiate with ourselves. And sometimes we're on the losing end of that negotiation. And so
Right.
Michele today is going to talk to us about how can we win the negotiations that we have with ourselves on a daily basis, because it is a negotiation. And if you aren't good at it, you're going to find yourself repeating bad habits or self sabotaging and not really reaching your goals, even long term goals, because you lost the negotiation every single day. Right. So, Michele, take it away.
Sure. I love that. And, I've never thought about this as a negotiation with myself, but it's absolutely spot on. So I call this how to change your mind, right? Because I don't know about you, but I've had over the years those negative looping thoughts. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. Who am I to speak at the front of the room? I'm an imposter. I'm a fraud. They're going to find out. I don't know what I say that I know, but I do know what I know, right? So there's all that head noise that gets on our way. So I'm going to walk us through an exercise. So Alice, will you be my potential
Yes.
person out there with a negative looping thought? Does
Yes,
that
I
work?
will be that person. Yes. And,
All
I
right.
also want to point out that I have had those as well in the past. I've had to conquer them as well. So I know what you're talking about, Michele. I've been working through that for many years, and I feel like I've gotten past it. But I do know those imposter syndrome feelings, or feeling like, what am I doing up here talking to all of these people? Like, how did that happen? Right.
Right. So, well, thank you. So, the first question I have for you is what is that negative thought that keeps repeating in your head? Maybe it's waking you up at night, and it's typically usually a short phrase that you're coming down on yourself with. What might that be for you?
Um, it might be like, people do not find value in what I have to say.
People do not have value in what I have to say. So when you think that thought, people do not value what I have to say, how does it feel in your body?
It's a very heavy. It feels like a lead weight, right? It's a lead weight in my chest, in my gut. So
Yeah.
it just weighs me down.
Yeah, I can really feel that. And so when you feeling the heaviness, the weight of that thought of people don't find value in what I have to say, what actions or behaviors does that then cause?
It's not so much actions, but more like a spiraling of thoughts, right? Because then you start to doubt yourself, and then you start to feel insecure, and then you feel like, do I need to throw away that speech and start all over again? Because maybe like I'm giving really way too basic information. And then you really like self doubt starts to grow. So there's like a large self doubt that starts pushing into your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when that self-doubt starts pushing into your mind and expanding out and the tentacles start grabbing at other parts of you, then how does that feel?
Well, that feels like terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. So notice how we started up here with a thought like, oh, no one finds value in what I have to say. And oh, that feels really heavy. And then self doubt. And that's terrifying. Like, here you are, you've got yourself all the way down into the bottom of the pit,
Yep,
right? And
absolutely.
that feels really crappy. And if we're not careful, we can get caught there for minutes, days, weeks, months, years if we're not careful, right?
Yep,
But
yep.
don't worry, I'm not going to leave anybody there, right? So if we take that thought, no one finds value in what I have to say, and we flip it to its exact positive opposite, what would be the exact positive opposite of that negative thought?
That people find value in what I have to say.
Yes, people find value in what I have to say. So when you think that thought, people find value in what I have to say, how does that feel in your body?
Well, it feels lighter for sure. It feels like that lead weight has has been lifted by someone else. Like it's not there as much.
Yeah. Yeah. So it
Yes.
dissipates a bit. So with that lighter feeling, what actions or behaviors then are possible?
I feel like if I am in that headspace where I feel like okay, people do find value in what I have to say, then I'm not spiraling, right? And so when I'm not spiraling, I can take some time to relax, take some time to meditate, or just spend some time sort of re-grounding myself. Whereas I don't feel like I'm in any kind of mental frame of mind to be able to reground myself when I'm spiraling.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a big difference. So you're able to pause and breathe and meditate and ground. And
Yep.
then what's possible from that place, from that grounded place?
To build my confidence even more than where it already was, and to feel like okay, great, I'm gonna land this plane. I'm gonna do this speech, and everyone's gonna love it, and so it makes me feel better and more joyful.
Yeah. So now you're feeling more joyful, more confident, like, I got this, I can do this, right?
Yeah,
So notice the contrast. I'm light, I'm joyful, I've got this, I can do this, and oh, I feel heavy, filled with self doubt, and terrified,
right.
right?
There's a big
So
difference.
then here's where the negotiation part comes in. Chocolate, vanilla, choose. Which one do you want? Which one feels better? Do you want to feel heavy and terrified, or do you want to feel light and joyful and confident?
Now I have a question, Michelle. What if I want to feel light and joyful and confident,
Mhm.
but my inner demon says to me, oh, don't lie to yourself, you're completely like lying to yourself by choosing that. So how can I fight that internal argument?
Yes, no, that's a fantastic question. So, there's a part of our brain called the amygdala. It's your fight, flight, or freeze mechanism in your brain. I like to call her Amy, Amy G. Dalla. Hey, Amy, what's going on? Right. So, Amy is just here to protect you. That is her sole purpose. Right. So, she is that little voice of self doubt. No, 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 it's not safe. You can't do that. What if you get up on stage and make a fool of yourself and then you will die? She goes all the way into full drama, right? About what could possibly happen.
Yep.
So even though you've come up with a new idea, a new way of perceiving and doing and moving through the world that feels lighter and brighter, and Amy's still coming in and popping in like, what are you doing? No, that's not safe. You shouldn't do that. You're lying to yourself, girl, like quit it, right? Repeat after me. Thank you for sharing, Amy. Now bugger off.
Thank you for sharing, Amy. Now bugger off.
Right. Like, because it's just the part of you that is fear based on whatever has happened in your past. And Amy is constantly scanning your landscape to go, is this present moment anything like a past moment that was scary or that might have been, um, you know, not safe? And so it's about reminding yourself, nope, I'm safe. I'm good in this moment, right? Even if just like tapping on your own chest, right? It helps you bring you back into this present moment, right? Or better yet, tap at your heartbeat. That really helps bring you back into present moment and to help ground you so that then you can go, no, wait, I am okay. I can do this. I can believe in myself. Thank you for sharing, Amy. Thank you for sharing, Amy. I've got this. Right.
Now, what happens? Like, could I also say something like, "So what?" Like, okay, so what? So what if people don't find value? Like, whatever. I'm going to go out and do it. Like, is that
Yeah.
also like part of a conversation I can have with myself?
Yes, absolutely. Because here's the truth. Not everybody's going to like it. Not everybody's going to like what you have to say. They might not like you. They might not like your hair. They might not like blah, 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 whatever, whatever, whatever. Right. And our tendency as humans is to focus on the one negative comment that we get. See, oh my God, it was terrible. Right. Like, no, no. Thank you for sharing. Because we have to remember everybody else has their emotional junk in their trunk too, seen
Right.
and unseen. And they're just reacting from their own life experience. So something you say might trigger them consciously or unconsciously and get in the way then of their ability to hear everything else that you have to say. Right. I had this happen at a talk that I gave last year, right? Big keynote talk. Really super excited. UC Berkeley. I was like, woo, yay, right? And out of all the hundreds of people there, I got like 4 comments that were negative. And I was like, right? Felt gutted. Like, okay, I got this, right? And that's okay, right? Because they have their life experiences and because my stuff didn't align with their thoughts in the moment, it created what it created. So I had to talk my own self down off the ledge, right? Have a little negotiation with my own self, like, no, no, it's okay, right? And we learn by doing and we rinse, repeat, and we get a little better and we get a little better and we can get a little better. So that's why it's a practice, right?
Right.
Practice makes progress, right? Because, in my book, I'm Perfectly Flawsome, right? This is what we talk about. It's like, how do we overcome the need for perfectionism and imposter syndrome? And like, okay, I did this part great. I messed that part up. I'll figure that out, rewire, and keep going.
Now, I have another question for you, Michelle. So, if people are noticing that they're having these thoughts, they can, take your advice and say, okay, thanks, Amy. Thanks for your advice. Bye. Right? You can leave, bugger off, or say, so what? But what about people who maybe realize from a very high level that they're struggling, but don't notice these thought patterns? How can they get to step one, which is noticing that they're having these thought patterns which are sabotaging them, versus someone who's already a little bit aware? And so they can change that thought pattern by saying, hey, Amy, thanks for the advice. You can leave. I don't need your advice. But if you're just not even really aware, is there something people can do to become more aware of the fact that their own thoughts are negatively sabotaging their own efforts?
Yes, absolutely. So, your first clue is how is your body feeling? So, if you're feeling really stressed, if you're feeling really anxious, if you're having insomnia or migraines or IBS, for example, those are some common themes that I see a lot in my work. Then you get to stop and get curious with yourself, like, what is my body trying to tell me? Something is out of alignment. And what do I need to do to get back into alignment? Right? It's just listening and then maybe doing some journaling, right? Doing some free writing, like sitting down with a blank notebook, piece of paper. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, right? And like, what is my body trying to tell me? And then just write, see what comes out the end of your pen. And like, oh, well, that's not quite what I was expecting, right?
Right.
Because you can have conversations with your body that way. I do this all the time in hypnotherapy, right? We have conversations. Why are we holding on to that pain? Why are we not releasing that weight? And it will tell you, like, because I'm afraid. I'm afraid of fill in the blank. Oftentimes is the answer.
Interesting. I love that, because I'm thinking about when do I feel nervous? Because, I've been doing public speaking a long time, so that's not where my nervousness lies. But I started rowing about a year and a half ago. And when they put me in the coxswain spot, I'm a good coxswain, but I'm still new, right? I'm
Right.
only a year and a half in. That's still very, very new. And there are many things I have not done as a
Right.
coxswain. So when I go to bed knowing that I'm going to cox in the morning, I'm like, ooh, I'm feeling kind of like nervous and stressed out.
Yeah.
And if you were to say, like, why? I might say, because I could crash the boat, right? Like, there's literally a physical thing that can happen. There are
Right.
8 people, and if I tell them to do the wrong thing, I am like the brain of the boat, and
Right.
they are like the muscles, right? So it's not that they can come to they can't come and save me if I'm doing something wrong. They will all just do what I tell them to do, and we will crash the boat. And so
Right.
while that might not happen, that fear still exists that I might crash the boat in the event, not just in a normal event, but if something strange were to happen and I suddenly was panicking, because when you panic, you can't, like, your amygdala is like on and you can't think logically.
Right. Right. It literally hijacks your conscious thinking
Yeah.
brain. Like, what? What's my
Yes.
name? What am I doing? Yeah.
Happened before where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like freaking out and I can't think what I'm going to do and I can't make the calls right. So, in that sense, I definitely can feel, like, even right now, I can feel that nervous energy of when I'm
Yeah,
about
I can too.
to talk. So I like the idea of writing, and I'm very curious what my brain will come up with. But I do feel like the main fear is, like, what if I crash? What
Mhm.
if I crash because I'm making wrong calls? Which, in my opinion, can happen.
Right. And yes, it can. And knowing what you know about yourself, do you really think that will happen?
It almost did. The coach had to call me and say, "You're about to crash. You have to turn." And so, because I was going backwards and I was bowing, and
Right.
I almost crashed into the dock. And so it
Okay.
can happen, and because of that, that's why, like, I have that nervous. So I don't know how to get rid of something when the reality of it happening is maybe still 25%,
Okay.
right?
So breathing into that, notice that nervous energy in your body. That's a really great example. Um, and like, okay, because when you breathe, so you inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 8. That long exhale helps trigger your parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest, to calm your nervous system down so that your brain can take back over and your amygdala can go back to the back seat.
Yeah, yeah,
Right? So that's the most important thing, is breathing to calm yourself so your prefrontal cortex, your conscious intentional thinking can come back online, because your amygdala will hijack it and take it offline and you literally be like, what were we doing again? Right? Yeah, that's like that deer in the headlights kind of feeling. So and then talking to yourself like, okay, I've done this before. I can do this. We've got this, right? Then you pull out your own inner cheerleader, like, yes, we can do this. We believe in ourselves. And these people trust me. They got me sitting up here at the front of the boat to make sure we're going in the right direction. And I know I can do this.
right. Now, Is this also something that people can use if they've maybe been in a car accident and now they have like this fear of getting back in the car because they feel like it might happen again? Can they use some of these like techniques that you're talking about with the breathing technique and like sort of like the self-talk to say you can do this, like, you got this sort of thing? Because I know that a lot of times when people have an accident, now they have that PTSD of like, I can't get in a car because I think the same thing is going to happen.
Yes, and right. It depends on the level of severity of the PTSD. I've had that happen too, right? And got into in a car accident, and then it's like, ooh, oh, right.
Right.
So, um, depending on that severity, you can always practice your breathing. Your breath is always a great place to go to. Meditation can really help with this as well. Anything you can do to calm your nervous system, right? Go for a walk out in nature, get the sunshine on your face. You get some vitamin D, you get some serotonin. It helps build that up in your system. But if it's more severe than that, then I highly recommend working with a professional, whether it's a coach or a hypnotherapist or a therapist, right? Someone who can really talk with you to help understand, well, is the root cause of that PTSD the actual accident, or is there something else beneath that might also be holding that in place?
Right, right. Awesome. And speaking of hypnotherapists, Michele, if somebody wants to come and work with you, how can they reach you?
You can come visit my website, michelemolitor.com, Michele with one L. And yeah, just book in some time. We can have a confidential 30-minute clarity call. You can tell me about what you're dealing with. And my job is to listen and see how I can best be of service. I have a variety of different programs, both individual and groups. Where I work with folks. I also have some free resources like Mindful Minute Mondays, which is 30 minutes of guided meditation at noon Pacific time every Monday. And then my new women's group called Tuesdays at 10. We just had it today, every second and fourth Tuesday. It's just a group for women free to gather and to set positive intentions and goodness in the world for ourselves. So, oh, and there's the bird attacking the window. Sorry. I thought it was a squirrel.
Well, thank you so much, Michele, for spending some time with us today. And I hope the listeners took away ways that they can basically improve their lives. I feel like it's something that everyone can do. Just really be conscious of your own inner thoughts so that you can negotiate with them and be on the winning side. And I love the idea of journaling to say, hey, why is my body feeling nervous? Or why am I just feeling stressed out? And just write and getting the answers that way. So I think that's fabulous. Thanks so much for sharing that tip with us, Michele.
Oh, you're very welcome. My pleasure. Thanks so much. And many blessings to you and all your listeners, Alice. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. And listeners, thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of Negotiation with Alice. Until next time.